Reach into your pocket and pull out a bill. Look at it. It's cotton and linen, a few cents worth of material. But it can be traded for food, for rent, for a year of someone's life. Nothing about the paper makes that true. So what does? The answer is a decision one man made on a Sunday night in 1971, and almost nobody noticed. This is the story of the most powerful agreement humans have ever made. One you signed without reading. One you use every single day. And by the end, you'll understand exactly why the paper works and why that should unsettle you just a little. Start with a simple question. Where does the value actually live? Not in your wallet. In the paper, we just ruled that out. So where? In 1903, an American anthropologist named William Henry Furness sailed to a tiny island in the Pacific called Yap. The people there had money, but their money was stone. Not coins, discs. Some the size of a dining table, some taller than a man. Quarried on another island, hundreds of miles away, and hauled home across open ocean by canoe. You did not carry this money. You couldn't. It sat where it sat, sometimes for generations, and everyone simply knew whose it was. Furness recorded one detail that stopped economists cold. One family owned an enormous stone that no living person had ever seen. Generations earlier, it had been lost, dropped off a canoe in a storm, sunk to the floor of the sea. And the island agreed. The stone was real, the stone was theirs, and its value carried on. A fortune at the bottom of the ocean that everyone treated as money. When the economist Milton Friedman wrote about Yap in 1991, he wasn't laughing at them. He was pointing at us. Because here's what the stones give away. Money was never the object. The stone wasn't the wealth. The wealth was the shared record. The island's collective memory of who owned what. The stone was just a way to keep score. And once you see money as a record instead of a thing, a very old question answers itself. Why gold? Most people assume gold became money because gold is valuable. But turn that around. What actually makes gold valuable? You can't eat it. It's too soft for tools. For most of human history, it did almost nothing useful at all. Gold won for a duller reason. In 1875, the economist William Stanley Jevons sat down and listed exactly what a material needs in order to work as money. And gold quietly ticks every box. It doesn't rot, it doesn't rust. You can split it, melt it, bury it for 1,000 years, and it's still gold. It's rare enough to be hard to fake, common enough to go around, and every piece is identical to every other. Gold wasn't chosen for its value. It was chosen because it was a good ledger. The same job as a stone on Yap, just easier to carry in your hand.
Which brings us to the paper. And the first thing to understand is that paper money didn't start as money. It started as a receipt. You handed your gold to someone trustworthy, a goldsmith and later a bank, and they gave you a slip that said, the bearer can collect this much gold on demand. The paper was a promise, a claim check. And carrying the claim was so much easier than carrying the metal that people began trading the slips directly and left the gold sitting in the vault. For centuries, that was the deal. Every note was a promise you could walk in and redeem. In 1944, most of the world made it official. The dollar fixed to gold, and almost every other currency fixed to the dollar. Paper resting on paper, resting, in the end, on a promise of metal. And then, quietly, the promise was canceled. On the 15th of August, 1971, a Sunday evening,
President Richard Nixon went on television. Other countries had started asking for their gold, actual gold, and the vaults could no longer cover what America had promised. So Nixon ended the promise. He announced that the dollar would no longer be exchangeable for gold. The claim check would not be honored. It was announced as temporary. It was never reversed. And here is the part that should stop you. Nothing happened. The next morning, the dollars in people's pockets were backed by nothing anyone could hold. No gold, no metal, no object at all. And they kept working. Prices held. Shops opened. People spent money that, by every older definition, had just stopped being money. And almost no one felt the ground move.
So what backs the dollar now? The honest answer is a strange one. It's backed by the fact that everyone agrees it works. There's a word for this: fiat, from the Latin, let it be done. The money has value because the government declares it does, and because everyone around you behaves as if that's simply true. You take dollars because you're certain the next person will. They take them because they're certain about you. It's a belief that holds itself up by everyone holding it at once. And today, that agreement barely touches paper at all. Most of the money in the world isn't cash. It's numbers, entries in the databases of banks. When you get paid, nobody moves a stack of bills. A figure drops in one place and rises in another. The ledger those islanders once kept in their heads, we now keep on servers. Same idea, same trust, just faster. That sounds fragile. Most of the time it isn't. But when the belief cracks, it cracks all at once. In Germany, in 1923, money lost value so fast that people burned banknotes in the stove. The paper gave off more warmth as fuel than it could buy as money. In Zimbabwe, the government printed a single $100 trillion note. Same paper, same ink. The only thing that had changed was that people had stopped believing. And the instant they did, the money became exactly what it had always physically been: paper. So, back to the bill in your hand. It isn't valuable. It never was. It's a token in the largest shared agreement our species has ever run. A live record of who owes what, that we have all quietly agreed to keep honoring. The value was never in the paper, or the gold, or the stone at the bottom of the sea. It was always in the agreement. Money is simply the thing we invented to keep score of trust, which means the note in your pocket is doing something quietly astonishing every second you aren't looking at it. It's holding millions of strangers to a promise not one of them signed. And it works, right up until the moment we decide it doesn't.